Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Dena. I'm the MLS manager, and I'm going to be presenting MLS 102 today, which is searching and prospecting, along with my colleague's help, Patrick Anderson, who's going to show you a little bit about the interactive map and some of the CloudCMA features. So let's get started here. The first thing we're going to do is open up the MLS to our MLS dashboard. And we're going to come into searches. Now you'll see that we have a few different options here, but the first one that we're going to go over is the standard search. So when we open that here, it's going to bring up a few fields. And first thing I want to show you is these two tabs here. You have general and additional criteria. Now this isn't grayed out at the moment, but if you come down here to these fields, you'll notice that you have different property types that you can search from. And if you select one, it still allows you to go into additional criteria, but if you select more than one, it gets a little grayed out after. Now it's still going. Depending on the two that you pick, it'll get grayed out. Sorry, that's actually property types. Property types will gray it out when you select more than one. And the reason for that is because there are different fields that populate in additional criteria due to different property types. So just keep an eye on that. And the second thing you really want to keep an eye on is the listing count up here to the top left, because anytime you make a change, that's going to adjust the number right here. So for the sake of example, we'll keep it to residential and single family. We're going to come down here to this area and show the subtype description. If you select this, you also have a few different selections that you can go through that you can either include or exclude from your search. Next here is the area and districts and sub-districts. So now with the MLS merge, we have a bunch of different areas and areas and districts that are included in our search criteria. So you can start by entering, Diamond Heights. You can do it this way, or you can search through areas, right? Let's say we'll do District 5 and Sub-District C for Noe Valley. And if you throw both of these two in, you'll notice that right now off the bat, you only have 14 listings. So if you go into any other fields, you can potentially come up with 0 results, right? So if we did, let's say 5 bedrooms, is that going to bring anything up? That's going to take us down to 2. Go into 3 baths, it's going to take us down to 11. So the more criteria that you actually put into the searching fields, the less listings that are going to come up, right? That fit your actual criteria. So always keep an eye on that listing count to the left. Now, the next thing you want to do here is you can also add statuses. You can go in and say you are only looking for active, you're looking for pending. It all depends on what fits your client's criteria. And once you have that, you can go ahead and hit search here. That's going to pull all of the listings that you have that fit this criteria, and then you can put that into a prospecting cart. Now, if you come over here and put this into the prospecting cart, you have a few options. Now, if this is a new prospect, the only thing you have to do is save as new prospect. That's the second option here. You can add it to a prospecting cart that you already have, or you can add it to an existing prospect, whichever you have set up. So we'll go ahead and we'll create a new one. I'm going to put one under my brother. I did that wrong. There we go. I got to hit save. So when you go in and you hit save, that's going to take you to the screen where you need to be. And what it's going to do is this is already going to check off manage as prospect. So it's already setting it up for you to go in and auto prospect these listings for your or automatically send out these listings to your prospect without having to check this off. Now you're going to have a few required fields here. You're going to have groups, and you're always going to want to use this little search icon anytime you see it next to a field, just to make sure that you aren't misspelling or putting extra spaces. So let's say we'll put them under, where is it at? Prospects. There we go. Go ahead and hit clear. And next we're going to enter an email. I'll go ahead and hit my work email here. And then I'm also going to CC Patrick just in case. Now, of course, this is for the sake of example, folks. So you wouldn't email yourself, you would be emailing your client and their CC'd contact if they have one. And then you're going to scroll down. You can enter information here if need be, but this is strictly for their profile. Same thing with notes. If you wanted to make note of something that they really want in their property, you know, let's say a small yard for a dog, or an ADU, you can put that in there. This way you make reference to it later on and it's a note for yourself. Now, although auto prospecting is checked off at the top, you are going to need to check off auto prospecting here. And what that's going to do is pull up a auto prospecting scheduler. Now, when you come here, of course, it's going to give you the start date of today, and then it's going to push out up into a year. You can edit that if need be, but the most important thing here is frequency. You can do it as soon as possible, which means anytime a listing that fits your criteria hits the market, it'll send it automatically. But that really depends on how broad your criteria is. You don't want to flood your clients with too much information and overwhelm them. But if you have a modest one, you can do daily, right? So anytime it comes in, you can set up a time, and then it'll send it off daily. If you do weekly, you can set the time and day, or monthly. Just depends on how frequent, you know, how broad your search is and how frequent listings are going to be available. So I'll say daily for the sake of example and hit save. Now the next thing is you have prospect searches under here. And this is going to label your prospect as a number. This way there's no, excuse me, this way there's no contact information if you want to sign them up for reverse prospecting. And what reverse prospecting is if there's a client out there trying to get buyers for their property, they can type in, they can enter in fields that fit your search criteria or that would match their criteria. And if you have your client signed up for reverse prospecting, they can reach out to you and say, hey, this is a property that I have that I think fits your client's needs. Let's see if we can set up a meeting and talk about it, rather than the off chance of it coming across your feed and you reaching out to them. So that's an option as well. Most important ones are down here, and it's because it's how you want to send the auto prospecting emails to your agent. Again, daily summary, or use prospect schedule. So I would say use the prospect schedule because it's going to email to you, letting you know, okay, this is what you have for your client, and it gives you the opportunity to take a look at it before your client may respond to you, and you have some knowledge on the property. And right here, you have include updates for price changes, status changes, rejected listings. I like to recommend have all three checked off just so you can be on top of these listings. Sometimes listings are rejected by your clients because of price. So if you have a price reduction or a price change, you're going to get the notification for that. If it's rejected because of, I don't know, it was in a pending status. Okay, if you see a status change, that might be something you want to bring up. So you really like this home. It has since come back on the market. I suggest we go take another look. You can do things like that. Send auto prospecting emails to prospect. Yes or no? I would say yes, just because this is the whole reason for setting up a prospect. Price changes are probably the ones that you want to keep on. Status changes, maybe. Rejected listings, I'd say not. Price changes, of course, just because if there's a price reduction, that's something that your client's going to want to see. Status change, I'm a little iffy on, just in case they're seeing things come off the market and go into a pending status pretty quick. That might be a little bit of a deterrent, but it can also help, right? If you have a client that's just kind of a sitting duck and they need to get, they need to get moving on making a decision, this may also be a good option to have. Send auto prospect email to CC. That's going to be up to your clients. Let them dictate that, and you make that adjustment from there. Email report, that's pretty much going to be the same, but whatever you're comfortable with and whatever you want your client to see, you can make a selection from here. And again, if you needed to modify the auto prospecting scheduler, you can do that here. But the other thing I like to recommend is the client portal. And the reason why I like this is because it puts the listings into a format that your clients might be more familiar with. It's a little closer to Zillow's layout. And what that does is that creates a platform for you and your client to go in and communicate on this portal. So they can reject listings, they can make notes, they can heart, or they can like. So it kind of gives you a gauge of which properties they absolutely like, some that they're okay with, and ones that they dislike. So that's something that I always like to recommend. It's just easier for your client to navigate through. The auto prospecting emails itself, those are, of course, based on the format that you send out, or based off the Rapatoni platform, which is something that you might be more familiar with than your clients. And the portal itself just makes it a little bit easier for them to navigate through. And I'll show you that in just a second when it comes up. So if we save this here, we should get the invitation to populate. And this is kind of what it looks like, or this is what it looks like. So you can see we have newly matched, you have recommended, you have saved and rejected. So anytime you go in, you can click on one and it's going to pull up here. And if you can recommend this one, it'll save. And you can go back and hit update. And what that's going to do is that's going to drop that into their prospect card so they can see it. But after you do this, then you actually get the invitation to set up the invitation for them to view the prospect portal or the client portal. So if we click on this, this is going to open the portal, their view of what they would see in the portal, and it's a little bit different. So you can go in here, you can see it on the map, you can post a comment. And of course, this is the way your client's going to see it. So if they post a comment here and you click on it, you'll be able to see what they like or don't like, any comments that they made on the listing. So they can go ahead and reject this one. That'll update it. Save this one. And then of course here it'll tell you newly matched, agent recommended, saved. So it has all of this information in there for you, and you can go in and see how often they've visited the portal, when's the last time they've opened the emails that you've sent, and that's all going to be under their profile. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out here real quick. And let's go back to contacts and prospects, and I'll show you where that's at. So if you come here, you can see they have 8 new listings. This is one that they liked, or I'm sorry, recommended, liked, and rejected. So the invitation wasn't sent yet, of course, because I didn't hit send. I just clicked on the link. But if I did hit send, you can see the portal activity. When's the last time they opened it? When's the last time they viewed it? Anything like that. You can also go ahead and hit another email if you wanted to. You can even go in here and preview their prospects, so you can go in and see what's what.
Andrew, I'm going to get you to hang on for 1 second. There's
Of
a
course.
good question someone had about searching, and they said, are there any documents? And so what I'm going to do in the global chat window for everyone is I'm going to paste in the link to what's called the Rapatoni Learning Center, and it's got really good help in it for all of the searching. And what Andrew can show you is under the help menu on the right-hand side of the menus at the top. If you drop it down, online help and learning center, that's going to really help you out. Once you're in the learning center, you'll be able to find all the resources you want. That's going to cover things that Patrick's touching on. It won't cover as much as he does today, but it'll also go down some other rabbit holes for you. So we do recommend you check out the learning center. They're pretty short and good videos.
Yeah, and they also have a YouTube channel that they're updating too, so that one's a pretty good spot. What type of documents were we talking about, Jay?
Oh, just anything on help documentation for doing search.
Okay.
And so under there,
Perfect.
there's some really good ones on search there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next thing that we're going to go into is actually hot sheets, which is a different type of search, but this kind of helps agents go in and become a kind of an expert of a certain area. You can go back up to about 30 days and just see what the trends in the market are. So go here again, you're going to go searches, you're going to come down to hot sheets, and it's going to open up here. Now you'll notice it's a little bit different from the standard search that we ran last time for the prospecting cart. You have date and time range, date back, or days back, right? So If you do days back, you can go up to 21 days and just see what's going on. You can include these types of changes that you're looking for. New listings, back on market. Let's see, price reductions would be a good one. And you can see these numbers just keep going up. So you're going to want to add a little bit more criteria here: residential, single family, and let's say districts 1 through 10, which is just all of San Francisco. And we have 332 listings. That's a little too much for me and what I'm looking for. So I'm going to come down here. And let's add some bedrooms. Say 3. Let's go 2 to 3. And then let's also do 3 baths just to see, or 2 to 4 I did on bedrooms. So if we come in here and we hit save and schedule, the criteria is, or the results are going to be what they're going to be, right? And we're going to go through them anyways. But if you save and schedule, you can also name it here. You can do more. And when you do more, you can leave your search name. You can figure out how you want it displayed. So if you want it displayed where you have, your regular search criteria, you can leave it on one line grid, or you can throw it on map view. And if you do that, that's going to give you a basis of where it is on the map, kind of give you a general location, along with some other things that can be shown with layers, which Patrick will go over in just a second. So I'll leave it on one line grid for now. And then you have your sort options. You can do it by status, you can do it by price, city, whatever you feel comfortable with, and of course, ascending and descending. And then you can, set up other criteria behind that of how you want it displayed. So let's say district 1 through 10, just to give me a heads up here. So then I can go back into that hot sheet and just see it as it updates. So every time I hit it, saved hot sheets, it's going to come up here, districts 1 through 10. So every time I click that, it's going to run a new search for 21 days back since this last search, or since the last time I clicked it, and it's going to give me the latest data. You can go through here and say, okay, I was keeping an eye on this listing here, and it looks like it's back on active.
So Andrew, would you call that kind of like a snapshot, so that kind of sets up your desktop? So let's say there's 5 things that 5 hot sheets that you really care about, or maybe just 2 or 3. You set that up, and so every time you come into the MLS, it's going to be on your homepage and easily accessible.
Yeah, you can actually do that on your dashboard. I do have it here. I guess I did it from the last class.
That's fantastic. Cool.
Yeah, so you can come in here, and what I like to do when I'm logging in for the day, I'll come here and see how busy my day is going to be. But if you, like I said, if you're trying to become an expert in certain areas, you can set these up and you can watch the market trends and just click on it in the morning and say, all right, let's do the MLS 102 hot sheet. Which one was this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, boom. I have all of these listings I need to go through and see what the history is, or how many days it's been on market. And again, it's all going to depend on the criteria that you enter in for your hot sheet.
Yeah.
But you can really utilize it depending on how you set it up.
You could even see as market conditions change, you could have this hot sheet run, and then you can even update the query, right? And without saving it, even like you can keep your baseline, or maybe you create another hot sheet based on
the previous. Yeah, exactly.
We did have some a quick question about searching.
Okay.
I might lean into JPM on this one. This is Roxanne is asking, one of my prospects, an investor, is looking only for rehab properties. What criteria can I select to help speed up that search? Do you have any thoughts?
Oh, that was tricky. If you want, I can jump in and try and maybe see if I can find a quick example of how you might address it.
Yeah.
So what Andrew can do is, if he goes back to a standard search, let's just go up to the search panel. Thanks. And then pick off, let's do just residential houses, right? Like that, single family residences. And then what Andrew's going to do is going to click on additional criteria at the top. And in here, there are so many fields. Basically, if the field exists in the database, you can include or exclude the values for it here. So you're going to look for things like property condition. And so let's do a keyword search for condition. He'll probably just use a Windows search for that. Yep, he's using his browser. So there's property condition. And when he clicks on that link, it'll give us our options. So maybe we want to look for ones that are,
Sure.
it's a fixer, and let's include those. And then we'll say, okay, that might be all we need even. And we'll go down from 9,800 down to 294. So using those techniques, you can sort of do your deep dive.
Right.
But the important thing that Andrew stressed at the beginning is don't start with a hyper specific search like this. Do it like he just did it, where he started with 9,800 listings, and then we drilled down using one property condition field to try to find out if there's data there. And that's a really
Right.
good search.
And then at that point, you can go back into general criteria and then finite the search a little bit more using other criteria, districts, zip code, stuff like that.
Right on. Good work.
Any other questions we want to go over before we pass this on to Patrick?
Only that Roxanne said thank you.
You are most welcome. Let me go ahead and stop sharing here, Patrick, and then you should be good to go.
Thanks, Andrew.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, so I'll be talking about the interactive map, which is a great way to visualize the listing data that you'll find in searches that you have, and also a different way to search properties as well. So from the searches drop down, I'm going to briefly show you how to go from a standard search to the map view, as Andrew was talking about earlier. So I'll do a really simple search. We'll do residential, and we'll do an area. We'll do the District 5. So that's going to come up with 117 active residential listings in District 5. And so instead of selecting either search or view results, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the map view. So once I select that, it's going to take you to the interactive map in the MLS. So as you can see here, we have all those listings from our District 5 search, from the standard search. And what you can also do to go to the interactive map is to, from searches, select the interactive map link here. So there's a few points I'll be talking about today. The first of which is the layers that you can select for your interactive map. And so with our search here, we get a nice map view of the city of San Francisco. And what we can do is zoom out and see a larger view of the Bay Area. And this is important because if you're a person who might be expanding outside of San Francisco using the super regional interactive data share system we've launched since last year, you can select different layers to see all of the areas that you'll find have listings in them from our data share partners. So from the layers tab, I'll go ahead and select MLS. And as you can see, we have 3 options: MLS districts, MLS subdistricts, and NorCal Alliance areas. So let's start off with NorCal Alliance areas. And what you see here, this icon essentially tells you that in order for the layer to appear on the interactive map, it's going to automatically zoom in to show those layers. And so this NorCal Alliance areas is a great way to see all the different areas in the East Bay and San Mateo, for example, and all our data share partners. And what you can do is you can actually see these area codes, for example, 900-651, and you can actually go back into the standard search and search the area / districts criteria based on the number, and you'll see a descriptive name for that area too. So I encourage you to play around and see all the areas that we cover with our 6 other NorCal Alliance partners to see what listings are in our MLS outside of San Francisco. You'll also see that as we zoom in, the NorCal Alliance areas layer also shows all of the districts and subdistricts in San Francisco. But you can also select districts and sub-districts with these two layers here in the MLS tab. So say you just want districts. As you can see, we have a beautiful layer surrounding our District 5 search, showing all of the listings, the residential active listings that we search for in our standard search in this nice bordered area for District 5. And additionally, we can select sub-districts, and that's going to give us an even more granular perspective of what we're seeing within, for example, District 5. So I encourage you to play around with these layers. There's a few other layers you can select using tax data. For example, there's foreclosure information. These show these little exclamation points, defaults last 3 days, etc. So you can just keep selecting these layers here. County recorded sales in the past 0 to 3 months. And so that's a lot of data from our tax data with Realist. There's also parcels. So I won't go through all of these, but there's a lot of information packed into this interactive map, and it answers some of the questions you might have for your clients about specific criteria that they're looking for within or outside of San Francisco.
We get a lot of questions on this type of level of detail, you know, that agents are looking for. And I think as Patrick is showing you, you might have noticed that when he was selecting NorCal Alliance MLS areas, the information gets pretty dense. Don't be afraid of that. You know, realize there's a lot of information, but give yourself some time to get familiar with it, comfortable with it. As Jay had mentioned, and Andrew, there are quite a bit of help opportunities direct with Rapatoni. You can always put in an email to MLS@sfrealtors.com, and we'll help you out as well. But I mean, it's a massive amount of data and information that is available to you. And I know it can be overwhelming, but get into the filters and you'll get to exactly what you need. Thanks, Patrick. This is fantastic. I love this.
Thanks, Hud. And I'll say, you know, Andrew and I we're in that MLS at SF Realtors inbox. We love learning questions that people have. How do I use the MLS? So we'd love to help you with your specific question about these, as Hud put it, these very complex search criteria. So along with the layers, which in them of themselves show a great deal of data about listings and how to refine your information in the listing search, you can also go ahead and close the layers. What I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and select the search criteria from here, actually. So we have all these listings. We have the residential active. What I'll go ahead and do is I'll select the fields from the map view itself. So as you saw, I was searching different criteria in the standard search based on price. But I can also select price within the map view of the interactive map. So we have search criteria here. I'll go ahead and select price. I can do the exact same search in the interactive map.
Really about where you're comfortable, right? If you're more of a visual person and you're more comfortable with the map, building your search criteria, you can easily do it here as opposed to the list input view.
Absolutely. And you can see, you know, not only can you see the counts changing, you can also see where they're changing on the map, which is a really helpful way to visualize what your criteria is.
We all love instant gratification. We love to see things changing as we're working.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, by default, you'll have a certain number of fields. For example, the property type is residential. That's by default for most agents. You'll also have, in my case, a series of default fields that you'll see automatically. But if you want to go ahead and add more fields, as Jay and Andrew touched on before, there are so many additional criteria in the MLS. These are all different criteria that you can go ahead and select and add, and that'll actually show up once you save the field in your search criteria. And also, I'll just briefly say that you can select multiple property types, and you can select fields that occur in both for example, or one or the other. So a lot of customizability in the map view. But what I'm going to focus on now is, I'll save this. We have a lot of listings here, not just in San Francisco, but outside of San Francisco. And what I'll do is, instead of refining my search based on an area, what I'll do is I'll actually use the draw tool, as you can see here, and select that drawing tool. And what that will let me do is, instead of refining based on area or subdistrict, I can draw my own custom area and capture some of these listings that are showing up in the map view. So there's 4 options. The first one is a circle. If you select the circle one, and then you click and then pull outwards from where you clicked, that'll create a circle with the center of the circle being where you clicked and the radius being as far out as you drew. So that minimized the amount of area that you're searching for significantly. And if you want to delete that, once again, you can select edit, and then you can delete that shape, and all your listings from the search criteria are back up. You can also select square. What that'll do is, again, you can select, instead of the center of the square being where you selected, it's the top left corner. And so then you can drag outwardly to make a larger square. I'll remove that. And then 2 more left, there's the freeform, which is this pencil icon. That just lets you draw your own custom shape. And I won't delete this one. Instead, what I'll do is I'll draw a second shape. You can have as many shapes as you need for your area. And so we'll have this area here, and then I'll draw a polygon. A polygon's another way to draw an area in the MLS. You draw a polygon by first selecting the first vertex. So you just click once, and then you are now able to draw a series of lines to create a geometric shape that matches the area that you'd like to cover.
And you're not having to click, each turn is a click?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah. So each new vertex is a click of the mouse. And so I'll click once here, and I'll create a new vertex.
That's how you're setting those endpoints. Okay,
perfect.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And you complete the polygon by selecting back on that original vertex that you created with the first click of the polygon. Okay, so we now have 2 areas. They probably won't look like this because these are sort of arbitrary shapes based on this presentation, but you might have very specific areas based on perhaps certain streets they'd like to see, etc. So once you have your shapes and you're satisfied with the results of your search criteria, maybe you've applied some layers just to see where exactly these shapes line up, and you're happy with the results, you can go ahead and select displays. And what you can do is then take these listings in this area, for example, into the 1-line grid. So hopefully this is a familiar page for you per Andrew's section of the presentation. This will show you all of the information that you see from those previous searches into just a 1-line grid. You can go ahead and click on the listing number itself if you have listing number in your 1-line grid default, and you can see the listing detail of any of these individual listings. But what I'm going to transition on to now, unless there's any other questions with the interactive map, are there any other questions with the interactive map before I cover some CMAs?
There are no questions open, but I have a favorite thing about it that I would love for you to show people if you would mind.
Yeah.
You go under searches and go to interactive map. You had this cool thing where you drifted over to the East Bay, right? And you turned on the layer. So let's do that. Let's go check out something over there in Oakland. Cool, just zoom in somewhere over there. Okay, so what we're seeing is these polygons also have this little floating number around there. And is that number useful? And I believe the number is. So now instead of using map search, see he's got 2607 there, and it looks like that's West Oakland. Let's go into our standard search and use 2607 as our area. Let's get rid of San Francisco, yeah, because that'll mean that there's 0. And change to 2607. Wow, it found that that's actually one of their selling areas. And so now when he selects that, you can put these together. Yeah, and for 40 listings, sure enough, and you can map them, or you could go straight to the grid. So all of these tools that you've got in front of you are all kind of like built to work together. The interactive map helps you support your standard search, and from your standard search, you can go right to the map view and back and forth.
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, they're all supported, and you can go back and forth to interactive map from interactive map, and so there's a lot of information in combination with both of these types of searches. So is there any other question for interactive map before I move on to CMAs?
There are none.
All right, so I'll just make this easy. I'll start off with a fresh new area search. Okay, so we got 116. So what I just did is I made a search of all active listings in District 5 in the MLS. And so we got 116 residential listings in our results. And if you'd like to run a CMA, which is a great way to get some fast statistics about, for example, District 5's market, you can go ahead and select the CMA option here. And what this option will do is it will include in the report all of the listings that you've checked off. And so if I were to deselect this checkbox at the top here, that deselects every single listing from the search. If I select that, all of them are reselected. If I deselect this checkbox, that's going to go ahead and deselect this page worth of listings. So if I go to page 2, for example, these ones will still be checked. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and select all of these. So we'll click on CMA, and all 116 listings should show up. And what you're given is a few selections, first of which is the CMA option. So, I recommend, for example, this CMA option right here. This is just a really simple but streamlined CMA report. So I'll go ahead and select that, and I encourage you to try the other ones out for yourself. You can select that. You can select the format. Some people like PDF, some like HTML. I will select PDF because that's an easy way to print it or send it to your client, for example. Once I've selected these two, you will see this option here. Click here, CloudCMA. I'm going to get into that in a brief moment, but this will take you to one of our member benefits, CloudCMA. It's actually outside of the MLS, and so HUD and I will be getting to that shortly. But within the MLS, you won't need to select that option. Instead, you'll just select CMA or whatever report you'd like, which format, and then you select Go. So that's taken us to this nice PDF report. It shows the address of each individual listing, the district, sub-district, the bed bath, parking. It shows a lot of solid information that you'd like to see. I apologize, this one, I believe, is a back-end listing that you might not be able to see, but you will be able to see all the listings, 116 listings in this report at the bottom here, along with all these fast statistics about the listing. You'll see the averages, the high, the low, the median. So this is a really simple way. And the benefit to this report is that if you're running a very broad search with hundreds of listings, this report will be usable. If we were to close this out, deselect all these listings, and then select, say, 5 listings, select CMA again. You might also want to consider using CloudCMA. So CloudCMA is a great tool. It has a lot of information, has even more information than just this standard report. I believe there's a maximum listing count for CloudCMA of 50. So CloudCMA perhaps is a great one for a search result of less than 50. For search results greater than 50, you might want to select one of these options. So I'll now be moving on to the CloudCMA part of the presentation.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree with having both of these options. You'd be pretty lucky if you're able to get 50 properties that match your subject property in CMA in San Francisco, given our inventory, right? So a lot of it's about a nice visual presentation for your prospective new clients. And I think Patrick is going to go into CloudCMA now, and we'll talk about customization.
Yeah. So CloudCMAs, it has a beautiful presentation out of the box. So in this next part of the presentation, we'll be covering sort of the basic out of the box CMA report that you can get directly from the MLS. And then HUD will be talking about how to customize and personalize your CMAs and your reports and your general customization in the CMA platform going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and click here for CloudCMA.
So this is taking the pre-selected content you already had, right?
Exactly. And
right,
you can kind of confirm that, if you're running this search yourself, because you'll actually see the MLS numbers in this URL, and you'll also see them in this exact listings by MLS numbers box here. But if you wanted to just go to CloudCMA without going through a search in the MLS, you can also access CloudCMA from the dashboard, which appears with this similar logo as we saw in the MLS in this tile right here. So this will take us to the exact same page. Okay, so now that we've gotten our 5 MLS numbers, we can go ahead and create a CMA report. I'm not going to focus too much on some of the details and the accuracy of the information. I'm just going to fill in the information to get us to that CMA. So client, I'll use Andrew, and let's just use 301 Grove. Let's see. So this will auto-populate, and you can select actually the tax data from the address search that you ran in this address box here. But because we're pretending that 301 Grove, our office, is a residential, I'll just fill in some bed and bath values. So once you filled in, for example, your address, hopefully the tax data, if it's an actual residential listing, will fill in the beds and baths on its own. If not, you can fill in the beds, baths, the square feet. You can go ahead and select additional information. But once you've completed all that, we can fetch these 5 listings here. And so CloudCMA actually was able to fetch all of that information using a data feed from the MLS itself. They got all this information, the bathrooms, the beds, the price, etc. You can select on any one of these individually. You can change the description of it. And what that will do is it will change the description on the report that's generated in your CMA. And so this CMA not only covers sort of the statistical comparison that you're looking for in comparing these 5 listings to the subject, it's also going to give you a beautiful report that you'd be happy to send to your client. So let's set this price. Again, this is arbitrary. And once I'm satisfied with adjusting the descriptions of the properties, and I've seen that the low, median, average, and high values are on the right here, along with the map view of the properties. And if I so choose, I can go ahead and add a listing using either the MLS number that you can take from the MLS itself, or perhaps an address. I'll go ahead and customize the report. And so really briefly, it starts off with a templated version of the report. It has all of these different sections, the title page, the cover letter, and you can actually edit some of these. They come with out of the box descriptions on their own, which is very handy if you're hoping to just have a sort of really quick way to generate a nice report, but you can actually change a lot of these. You can add different sections to the report as well on the left here. So I can select add.
Yeah, these in particular are power packs. So these are premium elements of the CMA tool. My suggestion would be to not use those yet, just because that's an additional, this is not part of the package. So you might want to, you can close those two folders and focus more above that.
Thanks, Ed.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks.
And I can, if you want me to, whenever you're ready to talk about the customization and what you can do in terms of templates, I can jump into.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll just wrap up real quick, and then I'll pass off to you, HUD. HUD will be talking about a lot of the customizability, but if you just wanted to go with just basic CMA and you don't want to change anything, you can go ahead and select Publish Report. That's going to go ahead and publish all of these different sections here. You'll have a few options. You can select an email report, which will send them an actual email of the report. You can copy a link to the PDF, a link to a live version, which will update as you update the report itself. But let's see, while it's publishing, maybe I can view it live. While it's still publishing. Okay, so this is a great little presentation, sort of an interactive way to do this. Start the presentation and see all of that information that you saw in the MLS. So with that, I'll pass it off to HUD, who will be talking about the customizability of CloudCMA along with other aspects of the platform that we haven't covered in just the CMAs.
Fantastic. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, and I won't spend too much time on this because we're getting towards the end of our time. But Patrick, that was fantastic. Thank you for getting us started. What I wanted to talk about, thought out in terms of how you access things. When you first log in, you have all of these tiles that are available to you. You have our additional products, forms and documents. There will be additional forms and document options in the future. We'll be discussing that at a later date. But at this juncture, let's go right to CloudCMA. I'm also going to open up the MLS because there's some things I want to grab from there. But what's really kind of cool about the CloudCMA product and other products is out of the box, yes, they're going to do a lot of easy, great things for you. But if you really want to take it up a notch and really emphasize yourself and your brokerage, this is your opportunity to do that. So my take is a little different in terms of the process. Before I even start a CMA, I want to go and think about how I want to be presented. Because even though there's a lot of great content that is out of the box, that may not work for you. That may not be your voice. It certainly may not be something your brokerage is providing in terms of how you would be set apart in terms of your CMA. So the quick down and dirty is once you log into, when you go directly from this tile, it's just going to log you into CloudCMA. It's not, I'm not building a CMA yet. I want to go into some customization. Go up into your name in the top right-hand corner and start with account settings, right? So just do a couple quick things. Change your avatar. I threw in a funny picture up there for me. I've got my I've got my email address. Got my company name. Let's call that Best Real Estate Company Ever. Whatever you guys want to put in there, doesn't matter. Obviously, you would be putting in your company. I threw in the Realtor logo. Of course, you would have a logo that is your company logo, and you can save your city and then just save that profile. Boom! You've already gone a step further than what you're getting by just going directly from the MLS. You're going to want to go into your contact info. This is where people will contact you. Maybe you don't want to have your office phone. Maybe you want to have your cell phone, etc. So simply just select that contact method. That's going to be, Facebook, LinkedIn, a mobile phone, office address, Twitter, web, all those things. You put it all in here, and then you just put in the value, and it will present as it does down here. Your MLS credentials should already be in there. Custom pages. Now, this is an area that you can only get to your custom pages, meaning something you're going to upload and build. Not that there are custom pages that you can edit the content on, and you can see here in this list here. But let's say that you want to add your own stuff, like your brokerages. Oftentimes brokerages will have stats on why this company sells more homes in one particular market than another. So the idea is this is your opportunity to take some of those marketing materials and upload them. It's super easy. You go to upload PDF. You put in one slide here. I'll put in this, that's a 10 megabit slide. I'm probably going to really push the envelope if I try to do that. Let me go ahead and just select this one again. It was just a stage thing I had. So I select it, go ahead and it's going to upload it. Now it's there and available. It's there and I can actually use it later when I want to build my template. Now, also notice a couple things. Patrick kind of jumped into this, but if you select any of these custom pages and hit edit, it's going to bring up what we in the industry call a WYSIWYG editor, which basically just means you have the ability to set fonts as well as your basic controls, orientation, bullet points, links, all that kind of good stuff. You've seen these editors everywhere. It's not unique to CloudCMA. So you can edit any of this stuff, your experience, your education. So yeah, lift your bio and drop it right in here because you want your bio to be present. All right, I would have just saved that. And then you go through your client testimonials. Okay, here's a list of my happy customers. Bob was great. Bob was super. Did I say it was fantastic? Very quick examples of what you can do. I can also put in listing paperwork. You can see this addition. Even if you're, maybe you will use this, maybe you won't, but you better read it because it's going to go out to your client and you might delete it or make a change. But just want you to be aware that that is available. Our company, this is a great example of where you would put in, best real estate company is a multi-fact. This is all canned data that you're going to want to update and make changes to if you'd like to. And then again, finally on your about me, you can kind of take a look at, there's nothing there because I haven't put it there. Integrations really quickly. There are integrations built into the system. I know that agent rating systems are controversial, but if your company happens to use one of them, like Real Satisfied, which is one that agents commonly use, you could just add that as an option, and then it would automatically link your Real Satisfied or your Reach 150 or your Rate My Agent testimonials. So that's something good to check out. Also, Zillow and Testimonial Tree, etc. And this is your API key to make some of that stuff work. That's more advanced, but I just want to let you know that if your company is offering Real Satisfied, I know I've seen many agents posting on Instagram and Facebook their post-transaction testimonials. This is a great way to integrate all that stuff. And that's about it. There's a building section. You don't need to worry about this because we pay for this for you as a member benefit. But now let's go back to CMA real quick and show you how I'm going to use these tools. You can see I created a couple CMAs already, but let me create a brand new one, kind of show you my approach to creating a CMA. I'm going to create a new report here, and we'll call this Moses and private notes, Bayview client. This is just so I can remember that he's a client of Bayview. And really quick, I'm going to cheat a little bit and go back to the MLS and do one of my past searches that I did earlier today. And recent searches, I use this all the time. So that takes me back to something I just did. So let's take a look at that. That's going to bring up my Bayview search that I was quickly doing. So I'm trying to find my subject property. Okay, let's say this is, let's look at this one, 507824. Let's do one a little bit more recent. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to go into my CloudCMA. Actually, I'm being kind of silly here. This is automated for me. I just need to know the address. Oh my gosh, 9 Vista View Court. Let's just type that in here. 9 Vista View Court. Great, it found it. And I could add the additional, if the data didn't come through, I can always verify there was 3 and 2, for example. And then let's go ahead and use this feature down here that I kind of like, which is the quick and dirty. What it's going to do is, independent of me having to do any searching, I can just pull in or comparative properties based on me doing that. I want to get at least 10 listings, only going back a year. Here's additional criteria. I could say I only want 2 bedrooms, 2 to 2 bedrooms, and maybe 1 bath is fine. For me, you get the idea. So I go ahead and do that process, and then I fetch listings, just like what Patrick did, except I'm starting in CloudCMA. we always like to show there's two different ways to do things, starting in the MLS or starting in the product as well. The data is the same. That's the good part. It's coming from the same location. I'm going to fetch those listings. And then you're going to see I'm going to be pretty much the exact same position that Patrick was just a minute ago. Although I'm going to go over a few points that I think are important to mention. So we're looking at our low, medium, average price, and let's go ahead and set our price of, let's say we think it's a good even number of 1.150. Okay. Price guide and net sheet. This is an important thing to review. You may or may not use the net sheets with your agent with your clients at this point, but let's say you know that you're going to need to do some staging. So you say staging, and you know that costs on an average $1,200. I'm just taking this number out. I don't know if that's accurate, so don't hold me to that. Let me save that, and I'll add repair. You can also add, any type of taxes or other or amenities perhaps that are going to be added or removed. At any rate, let's say that the repair is the same price. It's going to be $1,200. So that gives us a total selling expenses of $2,400 net to seller. So those are sheets that you can use moving forward. As we go through these comps, I think it's important to realize you don't have to use every single comp. This is what appraisers do. This is what agents do. They don't use every comp. They're really trying to bolster their pricing strategy, right? That's what the comps are for. So I might drop this one. I might drop this one. Other things I can do is if I want to change the order of any one of these properties, I can kind of move things out in different areas. So if I want to look at the details and the adjustments, as Patrick said, this raw data comes from the MLS. But sometimes these descriptions can be super long, and maybe you really don't want all that data, don't need all that data in there. You want to just, my agent notes are, this is why this is an important property to see, et cetera. So we can go ahead and update that. Now we've updated this. Now, of course, I don't think I even need to say this, but this does not write back to the MLS. This is only for the presentation that you're building and putting together. So don't worry about that too much. What we see here on the right is the way that I adjust the weighting of the properties is that I am adjusting my actual averages here. So I think there was a question that came in, like this contingent no-show, for example. I don't want that in there either. I want to remove that. There was a question that came in, how do we adjust the weighting? As far as I can tell, the way you do that is simply by removing and adding properties, and that will set your variables. But if your question is a little more detailed, I'll see what I can do in terms of answering that in a more detailed way. At this point, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go now to customize this report. I've got my comps. I've got my variables in there. I'll hit customize report. Now, what you're going to see is the first, very similar to what Patrick was showing you. You've got all these options on the left-hand side. But one thing I want to have you notice is a couple things here. We've got our theme. Right now, if I click on my theme, my current colors are modern, royal blue, and black. But you can change these to any color scheme that your brokerage might have, right? So this is an important step to kind of do. So let's choose that as my theme. I can also go into the layout once this theme is applied. And that layout gives you kind of a couple. Do you want a photo with a map? Do you want two photos? Photo with max data, 2-column comparison, etc. Let's go with the photo and the map. That's the one I like. Right now, it's a default template. I noticed that there's even an option for template because now I have the ability to create templates, but there's also a cover sheet and font. Before I grab that question that I see has come up, let me do a couple more things. And that is, I want to customize the content that I'm looking at here. So these are the default items that are in here. If I wanted to quickly look at the cover letter, make some updates. These are those pages that we actually can edit. Remember earlier, we were looking in the agent view and we could see our custom pages. Anytime you see an edit to the right, that means it's a page that you can actually make changes to. A lot of these others are just sort of statistical analysis, right? So it's just static pages that you're not really going to be able to update, right? So, or make changes to. What you can do is omit them so that they aren't part of the presentation. And I think that's the area that I really want you guys to focus on. Looking at all of these standard options, right? If you look at listings, this is all the content that is available in analysis. Each time you open one of these items and you hit the plus, that will add it to your list. Now, if you want to remove anything that's in this list, like say the analysis chapter, maybe you want to remove that, or you want to move it. Comparable property statistics, sold property analysis, maybe you want to remove that. Maybe you want to remove the marketing action plan. For at the very least, you would want to edit that to see exactly what's going to happen on the marketing plan. This is all about making sure you're aware of what content you're sending to your clients. But one of the things you'll notice is that on each one of these, I have the ability to change the order. Now, I'm spending a lot more time than Patrick did. And the reason I'm doing that is because once I get this kind of dialed in, I'm going to save it as a template. I'll never have to go back to this again. I can create multiple templates for multiple clients, for multiple areas, multiple property types. I think you get the idea. One last thing I'd like to show you is these custom pages. Notice there's the About Me, custom, these other ones that I added. These are the pages that I uploaded. So imagine these are the pages that you uploaded from your brokerage. I can add this and I can add that. And now you'll see that it shows up on the bottom. I can then move it anywhere else I would want to. And let's assume that I've gone through the process of editing and removing and adding stuff that I like. Let's go into the template here. And let's go to save all pages as a template. I'm going to save all pages. I am sorry, actually, let me go back into all pages. I want to go to custom and I want to save as template. That's my, so it's, I'm, some of this is new to me as well. So I'm going to go to custom, save as template, then it'll ask me to name it. And I'll call this my Bayview 2, right? So I save that. And now you can see that that template is applied. And I will publish the report as Patrick did. And then as that is being created, you will then be able to view that live. But it's going to take a minute to publish. It's taking all that data that I put together. And it's going to build my report where I can email it. Or once it's done publishing, I want to show you what that view looks like. While I'm waiting for that to publish, there any questions that are coming in, guys? I don't see anything coming in the QA on this or any chat. But if you do have something, please drop it in there on any of these topics. So here's one that I did for Mr. Duke Ellington. And if I want to view this guy live, I'm going to click on here. And I'll be able to see what this looks like on my screen. Of course, it looks gorgeous on an iPad or on a phone. So this is putting this all together. Now, I personally think all this stuff looks great, but see how easy it is if you did not pay attention to things that you want to know about in terms of content that your client is going to see. This video is going to be there. So back to that template process. And I would say my words would be deliberate about the experience you want to create for your clients. So we got our average pricing, average square foot, etc. The suggested list price does not show, notice, until they click on that, and then we'll show the suggested list price, average list price, etc. So at this juncture, there was a question about how do I do the customization. This is going to be recorded, so it will be on our YouTube channel as early as next week, and you'll be sure to be able to view that. If you're not aware of our YouTube channel, I'm going to give a quick little plug here and go to SFAR Social. I don't even have to remember. I'm just going to put in SFAR Social, and you'll see that what's going to pop up is a fabulous YouTube channel. It's going to autoplay, and I will stop the autoplay. Maybe it didn't. It didn't autoplay. Great. So you'll notice all of our content is here. One of the most important things you can do, and I have done it, is you want to subscribe. Then you'll get an update on when this video is going to be available. You don't even have to ask. You're just going to get a notification on that. We're going to have another session in a couple of weeks. And that session is going to be on a few new features that are coming to the MLS that we're excited about. So some things that you guys have all been waiting patiently for, we're going to talk about. We'll also do a deep dive into our stats with InfoSparks. So hopefully you guys are enjoying these 101 sessions. I think it's beyond 101 now. Now we're going to go to 201, etc. But these guys have really been working hard, Patrick and Andrew, to deliver you guys great content. I'm just popping in for a minute just to add some additional data. Is there anything else you guys would like to ask about? We're here. I know it was a full hour, a little bit longer, but we kind of got excited. So, gentlemen, do you have anything to add?
Looking forward to the next session. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, same here. Thank you guys for attending. We'll stick around for questions if there are any. If we happen to disconnect before you can get your question, feel free to email us at mls@sfrealtors.com and we'll do the best to assist you.
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.